Welcome back to the Guide to Surrogacy. This is part 10. This is when our surrogate entered her third trimester. The third trimester is the period of time between weeks 28 of the pregnancy and weeks 40. Now, all the experts, the doctors, the medical books and the apps and everyone says that pregnancy is 40 weeks long. You start here, you entered 40 weeks. Not necessarily. Week 38 is quite common to have a baby. In fact, at any stage during the third trimester, the baby could survive with minimal complications. I'm not going to go into that any further because I don't want to make light of it. But what I'm trying to say is from weeks 30 through to even potentially weeks 42, and then the baby might end up being induced because they've been in there for too long. The baby will be due at some point. And it's not exact, and that is going to mess with your mind. At least it did with ours. I did a bit of research, and did you know that out of all pregnancies, all babies, only 5% are born on their due date? That makes a baby arriving when you're expecting them to arrive a rarity. So expect your third trimester to be a little bit low-key anxious. You're going to be wondering, is this the last time that I do this before baby arrives? You'll probably be seeing some of your childless couples, and they'll refer to it as the Last Supper. You'll be meeting all of these people in readiness to maybe not seeing them again for some time. You probably won't want to leave very far from your home area. And also, whilst you're going through all of these anxieties, your surrogate is going to be going through the emotional ringer too. There's all sorts of surges in hormones going on at this point. She'll be experiencing overwhelming feelings of love, overwhelming feelings of sadness, a little bit of anxiety obviously herself because she's about to do something and there's no turning back now. It's also your final stage to do any last minute research. You'll want to make sure that everything's set up ready to go. You're going to find out all about anti-colic teats and nappy sizes and punami flaps. You'll be going through all sorts of emotions of self-analysis. Are you ready to do this? I will say that if you are researching surrogacy and you're looking at videos such as this, then you are keen to get it right. And I would say, from my own personal experience, you are gonna be fine, because if you care, that puts you in the high percentile. And let's face it, any baby born through surrogacy is going to be wanted. And unfortunately, that already puts you above many pregnancies that aren't born through surrogacy. Eesh, that took a turn. Anyway, right, let's get back to the journey. Here I am. We are a few weeks away from birth. See you in a bit. Somewhat incredulously, we have about 8 weeks to go. We are seeing midwife every 2 weeks, and there are increasingly few things that we have to do between now and baby being here. All the decorating and all of that stuff is well underway, and as we get closer to it, I've sort of drifted now from I can't believe it's not happening emotion wise to holy shit, this is actually happening emotion wise, with a side order of am I gonna be okay at this? Am I gonna be good enough at this? Will I be a decent dad? Will Michael and I be on the same page and be a good strong partnership? So this is the point for me where I'm now doing a lot of self-analysis. I suspect that most new parents feel like they have no idea what's going on. So I suspect that's normal, and there's very little we can do about it at this point. Anyway, I'm reading books about parenthood, specifically gay parenthood as well. Things like, you know, if people ask you where the mum is, how are you going to respond? And up until now, I'd been kind of flippant I've been thinking, if anyone asks me where the mother is, I will tell them she's dead, because I want them to feel bad about having asked and apologetic and feel awkward, because quite frankly it's no one else's business. But the book I was reading was very clear in saying, whatever you say when people ask about this family dynamic, your child, when they get a little bit older, will be absorbing all of it. They will be listening, they will be feeling based on your responses. So if there's any hint of embarrassment or shame or discomfort about being asked about the family or the parenthood or the mum or the baby, if there's any kind of inkling of us as parents not feeling comfortable in replying, baby or toddler will be picking up on it. And that was something I hadn't really considered. So yes, midwife appointment next 2 days time, and then another one in a couple of weeks. Alex is already having Braxton Hicks. I keep wanting to call them Braxton Pickles. Baby is apparently already low, so we are beginning to think she could come early. And ready or not, here she'll come. Shopping trip time to get our final bits. And we're pram and car seat shopping. There's a lot to think about. I will say, in Mamas and Papas at least, that 2 boys pram shopping did not raise any eyebrows. In these final weeks, everyone will be wanting to give you their hand-me-downs. Take everything. There's always Vinted. If you can fit it in amongst all the midwifery and maternity stuff, we recommend taking your surrogate away for a day or 2 if you can. It's a great opportunity to just reflect on your journey. We called it our baby moon, and we had a good couple of days which were perfect because it was soon to go mad. 32 weeks gone. We just went for a growth scan, it's a normal thing, apparently, just to check all the measurements. Started off really well. Got a nice little video of little Bubba just chewing and sucking on her hand, little mouth going, very cute. And then they looked at a couple of the measurements and were like, we want someone else to look at these. So they kind of measure the length of the leg, the length of the head, or the size of the head, size of the belly, circumference of the belly. And then they work it out, a measurement based on those 3, and come up with a weight and other bits and pieces. And the numbers didn't seem to line up in a way that made them happy. So we got taken to another unit, which put the fear of God into us, as you can imagine. The MD maternity day assessment unit, the MDAU. That's where we were taken. A little piddly room in a corner, where they just looked at them, didn't do anything else, and said, yeah, okay, we've looked at them. Could be an issue maybe, but we don't really know at this point. We'll do another scan. The whole procedure just put a lot of fear into us and made us second guess everything and get very worried. But ultimately we haven't got anything to worry about at this point. The measurements suggest that her belly is slightly larger than they expected. That being said, I'm reasonably sure they might have cocked up a measurement, and if they cocked up the belly measurement, then that would have thrown all the figures out. So it could be human error. But we now just have to wait before doing the scan again. It can't be that big a deal because they don't want us to go back for another 3 weeks. But I just wish that they'd handled it a bit different, because now we're second guessing everything. Did they scan the brain too long? What else could be the issue. Alex is terrified that there will be a inducement and cesarean, something that she's very much trying to avoid. So yeah, having had a really nice initial moment, we're out now all feeling a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, though we've got nothing to be anxious about at this point. We've just been told to wait and see what happens. So that's fun. Now we'll be trying not to think of that for the next 3 weeks. 5.5 weeks to go. We are about as far away from home as you can be and still be in Essex. Alex has casually informed us that she's got bellyache and lower backache. Oh, and a little bit of a mucus plug fell out, and that individually all things are fine, but that combined, that could be that baby's coming. So that's caused a little bit of panic. We're not unprepared, but we're not ready. I mean, there's no child seat on the back seat. I've got a shit ton of DIY. We've got 3 weeks of work still to do. We've got no nappies, no milk. I'm sure it's fine. She wouldn't be 5.5 weeks early, right? False alarm. I think she farted, it's fine. No, she's the discomfort has gone. She's gone to sleep. So we will relax, although it has kind of put a rocket under our arse. We need to get a car seat put in the car. We need to make sure we don't leave Essex again. We need to get some milk and nappies. We need to pack bags for us for a hospital stay and for her for bringing her home. And then if we have another call like that, hopefully we won't all shit our pants. Time for another checkup. Little baby has been particularly active. We obviously had our scare's not the right word. Our attention focused the other day, of which we've got quite a lot sorted in the last couple of days. So we're pretty much all ready, nearly, almost. And also there was a question about baby sizing. So all of that has been looked at and double checked by the midwife, I think the midwife, the hospital, this afternoon. So we'll just check everything's okay. We are due, in theory, in 5 weeks' time. But we are all convinced that she'll be with us less than that. I'm really hoping she can get at least 2 more weeks in baby oven, because that will get her past the last few growth spurts and stuff, and also allow us time to do a nursery. And so we went back to the maternity day assessment unit and got some more inconclusive results, and they basically said the baby might be fine, but you might want to come back in a few weeks, and we said we might as well not bother because she'll be here.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, back at the house, we've got 3 builders teams trying to finish off the work that should have been done last week. We've got family fretting because what might happen with baby. We're trying not to fret ourselves, and quite frankly, it's all getting a lot, and this is what we're living with. We don't even have a lounge, don't have a nursery, we don't have any rooms, just a whole lot of work. We could not have timed this worse. Today, I am feeling a little overwhelmed. And I have to get it out. So, obviously there's a lot of uncertainty about when baby's due. There's a lot of nesting going on as well. So there's a lot of organising, tidying. On top of that, stupidly, we took upon some other projects, which started later than intended. New kitchen going in, never mind the nursery going on upstairs. So there's a lot of uncertainty. Work, paternity leave, supporting family payments and stuff. That's not figured out yet. The whole fact that someone's doing this for you and putting themselves through uncomfortable situations with their own family and their own situations, it's a lot. And on top of all of the baby stuff, you've then got to deal with family members, particularly parents, particularly older parents, suddenly kind of having to adjust to this idea that they're not like your only priority, or they won't be for much longer. They will be, but just like down a peg. And then on top of that, if you're anything like me, you're the kind of person that holds everyone else together anyway. So as much as everyone else is getting stressed out, you're the calm one. And that's my role. And that's usually my role that I'm very good at. But every now and again, when I'm on my own, it all gets quite a lot. Right, that's my piece for today. I've got to get back to painting. I've got about an hour before Michael gets home, and then we need to finish building a kitchen, provided Alex doesn't go into labour in the meantime. Just keep smiling. So I'm just finishing my last day at work. I've got about a week before she's due, but I kind of timed it so that everyone knew exactly when I was leaving, and we wouldn't just have like me disappearing in a flap with no warning. So I'm off. I've had some cards. I've had to give the HR department, wages, payroll, a copy of a form called a notice of intent for parental order. Oh, hi. I've popped back quickly to interrupt to talk to you a little bit more about the statutory declaration to apply for parental order. Now, you need one of these if you're going through surrogacy and you are wanting parental leave payments from the government. So you are entitled to 6 weeks at 90% of your wages, at least you are in 2025. Rules may change in the future. And then after those 6 weeks, it will go down to statutory, which is about £144, which then gets taxed, and national insurance. So it works out as a pittance, but it's something. If you want these payments, then you need to tell the government that you will become a parent shortly, because as it stands, if in the surrogacy scenario the baby arrives, you won't be on the birth certificate. So to all intents and purposes from the government's eyes, until the parental order goes through, and a parental order won't happen until the baby's like 6 months old or something, until that happens, in their eyes, the surrogate is the parent. So you need to apply to this form, which is essentially an official document by a lawyer declaring that you will be applying for a parental order in the future. It's quite important. If your company don't receive one of these, they may not choose to, and definitely don't have to, give you any parental leave payouts. I will put a link in the description so you can find where I found one, but essentially it's a solicitor's letter just saying that on this date a baby is expected and they will be applying for a parental order in the future. That's what you need if you want payment. Back to me, about to leave work last year. Right, packing up my work, out of office on. How we've got to this point, I don't know. Those extra couple of days at home gave me the time I needed to finally get the car seat in and to finish off the nursery. And just in time. 10 days before we're due, is that right? 12 days before we're due. We have a WhatsApp group which has now got Alex's birthing partner, her sister-in-law, in it. And we are officially not quite in labour, Alex has had like a thick, weird wee, which is apparently called the show, which could indicate that labour is about to start. Or it could be that it's still days away, which isn't helpful at all, other than make our hearts beat a little bit quicker. We've got our bags packed and ready to go, an outfit change for the hospital, baby carrier is down by the door, ready to go. This will not be a good night's sleep. Yeah, who even knew early labour was a thing? So this is the period of time when the ball starts rolling, things are starting to happen, things are like dilating and moving, and stuff is going on. This early labour stage can last hours before labour kicks in for realsies, or it could last days. So be prepared for a lot of hanging around and being frustrated. Not particularly helpful of me to say, but it is true. To get to this point, worth talking about, and we haven't covered it so far, is breast milk. What is your plans? Have you got that all figured out? Options: surrogates may not want to breastfeed or choose to breastfeed. You may not want them to breastfeed because of that whole bonding thing. You've got expressing. Do you want milk from them in the start? Quite often surrogates will supply the first set of milk that baby can use. Whatever your decisions on breast milk, one thing which can be quite important, which we got, is something called colostrum. Now this is the pre-breast milk that surrogates produce and can extract before labour starts. It sounds a bit grim. Whoop, comes out, syringe. Very clever. And the colostrum is full of lots of pregnancy fused and filled goodness for baby. If you can have a conversation with your surrogate about colostrum and extracting colostrum, I think that would be a good thing. It's not essential by any means, but it gives, they call it like the golden liquid or something. It's that good in terms of keeping a baby healthy. So our surrogate was good enough to extract some colostrum in advance. The reason I've left it this late to say so is the process of extracting colostrum can induce labour. So you want to leave it quite late if that's what you're going to do. This is also your final time to go over any birthing plan stuff. Make sure you and your surrogate and a birthing partner and your partner and everyone is all good to go with the birthing plan. Make sure that the midwife has got the most recent copy. Make sure that it goes to the maternity unit. However, don't necessarily expect them to read it. More on that in the next video, but at least you've done your part. Right, any questions on any of that? Drop them below, like, follow and subscribe and all that malarkey, and I will see you next time when we're in the labour ward. Ah! Ta-ra!